Hello everyone, Cherie Wayman here from Fanklemade. Today I want to show you how to create an apple core template in Silhouette Studio to use in your quilt blocks. So let's get started. To begin with, I need an ellipse on the page. So over to the drawing tools on the left hand side and select the ellipse. Drag out a circle onto the page. I'm going to make this 3 inches in size. So up to the top menu, unclick the padlock, select the height and put 3 in and hit return, and then 3 in on the width as well and return, then lock it back in again. To make things easier for alignment, all these objects are going to ultimately be centered onto the page. So let's do that first of all with this circle. Up to the top menu and select center to page. Next, I need to draw 2 lines and make them into a cross. So again, over to the left hand side and select the line tools and just draw 1 straight line down, copy and paste it, select them both and center those. And take them to the center of the page as well. Click on the top line and go over to the right hand side, over to the transform panel, up to the rotate option and rotate 90 degrees. Once you have them in this format, select them both and group. I then want to rotate them round so we have it more in a cross, diagonal cross. So again, over to the rotate and select 45 degrees. It didn't matter whether it was going to the right or to the left, as long as we end up with this. Next, I want to duplicate this circle. So to do that, we want to go over to the replicate panel on the right hand side, select that, make sure you have the circle selected and use the mirror function to have it sitting right up to the edge of the original one. At this point, I'm going to zoom in some more because it's going to be some close work here. Let's remove this for the moment. Now, the intention is to get this circle overlapping this one so that it's equal in overlap on all sides. I'm going to use the arrow keys on the keyboard to draw it across, but be aware if you hold down the arrow keys for too long, you can't control when the circle will stop. So just every now and then let go and keep nudging it across. What I want is this perimeter to match up with these 2 cross sections here. I think that may be it. Let's see if we can zoom in any closer. So if I select that circle again and move it once to the right, I can see that it's off the other 2 lines. Back again, and let's go the other way, move it to the left now, and again it's crossed over, so I think we have it exactly where we want. Zoom out a little bit. From here I don't need these cross lines again for the at least for the moment. Before I go any further though, in case I need to go back to this, in case I make a mistake, I'm going to copy and paste and just take that off the page for a second. Zoom back in. And what I want is this section here, and I'm going to call it a lozenge. I'm not too sure what shape and name that is, but for my purposes I'm going to call it a lozenge. So once you have them both selected, go over to the subtract panel here and select divide. Now you'll have lots of different pieces. If I drag this one off and this one off, you then have the lozenge in the middle. These aren't needed anymore. But I do need another circle. So since we have one already made, I'll pull that across and center them on the page. I need 2 of these lozenges. So copy and paste in front. Select the top one and select the circle. And I want to align this side of the lozenge with the circle here. So go up to the alignment menu option and select justified to the right. Do the same for this one, but to justify to the left. So again, select the circle. Now you can see we have an apple core shape forming in the middle here, but we don't have it cut out at the moment. What we need to do is remove these areas here. Now I found while working with this that if I try to do the next part of the exercise, I end up with some stray lines still visible. I'll try and show you what I mean. So let's just zoom out for a moment. Just going to copy that all, copy and paste, and bring it over here. And we'll just show you what I mean. While we have this modify panel still open, if I told it to crop, you'd only end up with 2 lozenges, so I'll undo that. Subtract tool again leaves it not as I want, so again undo. Divide is what I intend to do, but when I then pull the lozenges away, I have all these stray lines all over the place. So even though these lozenges were butted up to the circle outer edge, it seems to not necessarily capture the full amount of the line to cut through. So let's delete that. And this is what I've done to fix that in my head anyway. So go back to this, click on the lozenge. What I want it now to do is have some edit points on it. So you can double click on the lozenge or go over to the edit point menu option, and you end up with these 4 points. On the right hand lozenge, I want the right hand center point, and literally just drag it out. It doesn't have to be perfect, just do that. The same with the left hand one, drag that out too. So it's not going to affect the circle line in as much that it when it's pulled out like this, it will capture this for the next part of the exercise. Select it all and then divide. Now when we pull this off, we have the apple core. Zoom out a bit, delete these. Give this a bit of colour just so it's something better to look at than just a grid page. Now what we need to do is check to see that this will fit snugly into this area. So copy and paste. Center them and center to the page. Swivel or rotate one round. And we need this to nudge over to the edge here. So either use your arrow keys, just drag it across, whatever works best for you. A little bit back. I'm going to make this a little bit more transparent just to see what's going on. And zoom in again. Nudge it to the left. Check the edges, top and bottom, and that looks good. So now they're both nestled into each other. Another way to put these apple cores into position is to use the axis positions up here. So you've got an X and a Y axis. When you adjust the figures in the X axis, that moves the object horizontally right or left. If you want to make the object move to the right, you increase the figure, and if you want to move it to the left, you decrease the figure. And for the y-axis, that moves vertically, so it will take it up or down. And in the same way, if you want it to go down, you add to the figure here, and if you want it to go up, you minus. So for example, if I selected the x-axis while I have this green apple core selected, and I make that, let's say 6.1, and hit the return key, you can see that it's shifted over that far. I'm going to hit the undo to take it back. So what you need to be thinking about at this point is, what is the height of the apple core? And it's 3, because you started off with a circle that was 3, and the width is 2.121. So just for convenience, you can write in 3 high and 2.121 wide. Let's just make that text somewhat smaller so it's not interfering with everything. Now that you have 2 of the cores in place in the 2 orientations that you need, a simple way to take one and copy over to a new position is to right hand click, copy and paste in front. With it still selected, go up to the top here, and alongside the X and the Y axis you have this little plus sign, and if you select that, and just select the distance here, what you're wanting to do is tap in for this orientation 2.121 here. So just do that and use the arrow key to the right. You can see it's now centralized over the lilac one here, and you now want to move it down. So keeping it as 2.121, click on that, and it now sits underneath. For the lilac one, right hand click, copy, right hand click, paste in front. And again, back up to the axis up here, keep it as 2.121, select the up arrow and the left arrow, and there you have two sets of them, and you can carry on like that throughout the page if you wish. Finally, another point, as a quilter you may wish to give it a seam allowance, and to do that just select one of the apple cores, go over to the offset panel, click on that, and if you want the seam allowance to be outside, select offset and select the distance. Quarter of an inch is 0.25, so tap in 0.25 and apply, and that should be quarter of an inch larger than the actual final apple core. If you wanted it inside the apple core that you've designed, then click on internal and again 0.25 and apply. So I hope that has helped you with the apple core design. It's a little tricky, and there may be other ways in which to achieve it, but this is what I've discovered for myself. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial, and if you like it, please don't forget to like and subscribe my videos and continue to follow me. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.